Welcome in everybody to another Losers Lounge. And we are not presented by anybody except for we are presenting the losers of tonight, which is the Colorado Rapids, man. I am your host for the night, Yaya, aka Yahir Vazquez, aka Brown Lucius, and I'm joined by Mr. Duane Downtown Brown, straight from hometown, cooking south and all that good stuff. How you doing, man?
I'm so sick, and it's not even from this game. I'm very under the weather. This game did not help at all. But I did see Jim, I think, on TV twice. So
Yeah. Also, shout out Kevin, man. That was pretty cool too, seeing Kevin on TV, seeing a bunch of
yeah,
you guys. Um, so we're here to talk about our Lord Savior Jesus in Rapid Man. Um, no, guys, today was a horrible night. It was a bad night all the way around for the Colorado Rapids. I I personally consider it a choke job. Me and Dwayne were talking about it. Um, I look like the idiot right now because last post game I said it's all fine, they'll be okay, and now we're here, and it's this team is if right now I want to call them unironically and with a lot of love a bunch of losers. In all on after losing 3-0 to Minnesota, 3-1 to LA Galaxy, and then you still have that 3-0 loss
Kansas
to
City.
SKC as well. This team right now feels like they're a bunch of losers. You dropped all the way from third place to sixth place in a span of a week and a half, and it just feels like the Rapids are, instead of improving, they feel like they're going down. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think team of losers is a little.
It's harsh. It's
I
how I
think
feel
it's
right now.
very. I think it's very knee jerk reaction after a rare set of back to back losses for the Colorado Rapids. Um, Therapy dog time for Losers Lounge as always. Um, it's I don't know. It's LA Galaxy guys. They're real good. I thought we played really well in the first half. I mean, we can get into finishing and why that doesn't happen for the Colorado Rapids right now. But the first half was good. The second half was not good at all.
Not at all.
And but I mean, this is what we were talking about. After the Minnesota loss, is I was very concerned because I wasn't feeling good about Galaxy. Not because I think this team stinks or anything. It's just that Galaxy is a better team than the Colorado Rapids. The Galaxy is a better team than all of the teams in the Western Conference.
See,
And I I told everyone all season you have to look out for teams like Seattle, teams like Houston, who are going to put it together at the end, make a run, and they will punish you if you do not win the games you have to win. And those games versus Kansas City and Minnesota were must-win games. And that's why we find ourselves currently sitting at sixth place when a week ago we were in third place.
see, you say you think LA Galaxy is a better team than the Rapids, which again,
They are.
but this is where I want to go to. I don't think the Rapids are a worse team than LA Galaxy. I don't think LA Galaxy is that much better than the Rapids. I think they are, but I think the main difference between a team like the Galaxy, a team like Columbus, a team like Cincinnati, Miami, besides their star players and the quality of their star players, I think it comes down to discipline. Those teams are very disciplined. You saw it tonight. LA Galaxy was completely gassed all night. They couldn't run like by minute 15. You could tell that Gabriel Peck was out of breath. Yet they found a way to win, and it came down to, in my opinion, discipline. And I think that's something the Rapids lack a lot of times, which is discipline. And it's a discipline in many different ways, right? It's a discipline when it comes to being frustrated. You saw Giorgio almost get that yellow when he tackled Puig. Um, you also saw them not be as disciplined in front of net. They took arrogant shots and they weren't making the right passes because they did lack a little bit of that discipline. I think they kind of get away from their game a little bit, and I think it is because of the erratic kind of play style that Chris Armas likes to play, which is push, push, push. And I think there needs to be a balance at times with that. There has to be something where you can figure out how to get that same attacking energy without losing the fundamentals of how you're playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with some of that. But uh, where I side with the Armas push, push, push is that the more we push, the more the ball stays away from our goal. And we saw what happens when you take your foot off the gas versus Minnesota. There's not a lot of balance on this team. So you have to play to your strengths. And the strength is in the press right now for this squad. You know, unfortunately, it's the end of the season. We had a long run in Leagues Cup, and guys are getting tired. It's the end of the season, um, but even with that, like to what you said as far as discipline, like I don't need Maxu crossing the halfway line
Mhm.
ever again. And Lawless either. Like it's just you knew they had that speed. You know what Galaxy is. They will kill you on the counter every time. And they showed that, in rapid succession, no pun intended, in the second half right away. Just bang bang, we're down 2-1.
Yeah,
And
and that falls on Armas in my opinion. That those two goals is Armas for no everybody in that stadium, everybody watching knew exactly what Galaxy was gonna do coming out of half, right? And it was gonna press hard because they were already running out of gas in the first half and they're revitalized because they just got a 15-minute break and the Rapids still couldn't stop it. Armas didn't come out with the right game plan in the second half, and the defense was just got cooked. The defense was not good tonight either. The defense was good in the first half because the ball never got to them. How you said the ball was always in the Galaxy's court, like in the Galaxy side of the field, and that's the biggest problem. That's where the Rapids are really lacking quite a bit. It's that tactician. Even when the game was kind of like you guys are pushing and pushing, Armas didn't make the right changes at that time. I would have rather seen Calvin Harris get out of there. I thought Calvin Harris was the worst player on the team today, and I don't think it was close. I think Omir was horrible, and I think Yappy should have came in way sooner before that. I love the way Ronan played, and I thought the Jasper substitution came a little too early, and I think that could have waited another 5 minutes and try to get Tiavali could find something out there. I just think Armas kind of messed up on quite a few things there, and I think in the second half it became very very obvious that Greg Vanny kind of coached him.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the second half. The first half. Um, I feel the first half was textbook Rapids. I thought things were playing very well, save for finishing. And I feel like that is part of the Rapids brand, not just this year, but like ever since I've been a Rapids fan. There's only been a few that have broken that sort of like can't finish reputation, but I don't know if it's a Rapids curse or whatever it is. But the squad tonight, uh, you've got 4 to 5 guys coming up in the final third with the press. And when 4 of those 5 are all right at the edge of the penalty circle, what are you going to do from there? Like there's nowhere to pass it to. There's a sea of white jerseys in front of you, and you're bottled up with the ball. The Rapids have to find a way to open it up if we're going to start scoring. Hoffa is back to where he was at the end of last season, which is playing everywhere but striker and the ball not getting to him in a striker position. The ball will get to him, but not as a striker.
He's like playing the double pivot basically at that point because that's the
Yeah,
only place because the wingers are non-existent right now. None of them are doing anything in any
yeah,
aspect.
yeah. It's yeah. I mean, it's rough. The Rapids, the Chris Armas Rapids press is wonderful when the ball goes in the net. I think the Chris Armas press is still very good. Like I thought we played really well in the first half. The problem is everyone's going to forget about that first half because the only person to score a goal was your defensive mid from way outside the box, which
What a
was an
goal, by the
awesome
way.
goal. Yeah, it was awesome. And, I mean, I love Ronan. So I was
Yeah.
silently cheering not to, wake up anybody here. And it was awesome. But, like that can't be where your goals are coming from when you've got five guys, all, not hamburgers, guys that are supposed to be making goals, not hamburgers up in the box. And so um, that was the challenge tonight. It's just that first half. I feel like we could have been up by 3. You know,
I never thought they would. I honestly, they could have. I never thought they were even gonna get close to 2 goals. I was shocked they got the first one. If I'm honest, it felt like one of those nights for the Rapids where they were gonna push hard and they were gonna get nothing in return. And that's kind of the whole game, right? Galaxy was only
sure.
better than the Rapids for like maybe 15 minutes of the game. Like in those 15 minutes, they took advantage. They went all the way and they burned the Rapids defense. The Rapids defense was horrible tonight. Nobody did anything. There was no help, and the only way the Rapids defense came out on top was when the ball wasn't on their half. That was their best defense of the night, because every time the Galaxy got the ball, Riqui Puig did his thing and just attacked. It felt like they were gonna score every time. It
Yeah,
never
it was
felt like they were
scary
in
on those
control.
transitions. Those transitions were scary, man.
Yeah, it just felt like, and again, I know it's very harsh, and I know that it's not true, but it feels like it's a team of losers tonight because it feels like they were very undisciplined in a lot of aspects. And again, I really do put this off on Chris Armas more than anybody for not making the correct changes, for not talking to the players and knowing what's coming at the second half because you knew Galaxy wasn't going to sit back and try to just get them. Maybe you bunkered down for the first 20 minutes and you're just like, let's just tire them out some more. Let's just get the ball out of here. And you have a good enough team, I think, where you can do that and get some transition. But it feels like it feels like they just wanted to keep playing their game. And sometimes you have to adjust to the other team, especially when the other team is so talented and it has an MVP candidate in it, right?
Yep.
It's really hard to talk about just all the way through. I don't know, man. Like it feels like the Rapids are going. I'm a little afraid for 2025 at this point, if I'm honest.
What?
And listen, hear me
How? All
out.
right, here. Let me hear you out.
Hear me out. But first, we're gonna take a quick small break, and then the other side, we'll talk about why 2025, in my opinion, might be a little bit in danger. But we're taking a small break to give a shout out to our sponsor of the day, Empire Today. Don't know the phone number, but I remember the jingle because the jingle was dope. Empire has worked with us before. They changed our whole studio floors, and they look incredible. Tell me not, Duane. As a producer, you've seen how I move chairs around in that floor, and it's still holding up like it's brand new.
Hey, I picked out that floor, man. I worked with Empire. Their folks came out. Um, they bring out samples. They show you what it's going to look like on the floor. They can pull up in the app or and you can see your space, which is what they did. They pulled up everything and said, all right, this is what we're going to do. It was one of the easiest decisions that I've had to make. And that was not my plan. My morning was supposed to be designing all day. And then D-line was out of the country, and someone was like, Duane, go pick out the flooring for for the
But how
and
easy was it, honestly? You got to
it,
work with them.
I'm dead serious, man. It was one of the easiest things ever. I've put in all of the floors in my own home by hand, and this was way easier just to have Empire do it for you.
So
And there
easy,
was
a Rapids podcaster could do it.
it's so easy a Rapids podcaster can do it.
That's gonna be our new tagline for everything we do here, man. But Empire Today lets you get your shopping at home convenience. The right product for your needs, quick professional installation, and a match price guarantee. They have this really cool like floor design thing where you can take a picture of your living room and you can try out all the floors that you want. It's super easy, super great. Empire Today, big fan. We all know the jingle from when you stayed home and you watched Jerry all day or you watch Maury and you just heard it every commercial break. Incredible. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off discount when they use promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com DNVR/DNVR for details.
And you know, our other friends that we talk about every show, and that's the official vehicle of DNVR, Yahya.
That is Toyota. Toyota.
It's Toyota. As Mitch usually tells you on our shows, trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, Toyota's built durable engines destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails, hauling the weight of the world, driving home after a sad Rapids versus Galaxy game, Toyota trucks, there's a Toyota truck that's just right for you, like the all-new 2024 Tacoma. And
Man,
the
the Rapids
return,
might disappoint you, but not Toyota.
Toyota would never do that to you. Let me tell you, we may have problems finishing in front of the goal, but Toyota is going to get you to the goal wherever that is on the map every time. Toyota's got 17 models available with all-wheel drive or full-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner, which is my personal favorite. I would love to have that car. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Toyota.
Shout out
And
Charlie Blackman that got the Coors Field Toyota.
I know.
That's so
Did you
dope.
see that? They gave him the one that was up in the stands. Like they
I
just
know it's
craned
so
it off and
dented.
said,
I'm sure it's so dented. Multiple balls have hit that car. I've seen it live.
oh man, they just gave him the Toyota 4Runner. That's awesome.
I love that
Um,
piece of history.
I think it's cool. The other cool thing is that Toyota also offers more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint, which we've seen examples of this week. The crazy stuff going on. So we can all benefit from some healthy vehicles getting out there doing less damage to the world. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, whoop whoop, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. As you all know, Toyota is a proud partner of your Colorado Rapids. Good or bad, Toyota's in it to the end of the season and into the playoffs for the Rapids. All right, let's get back to this riveting game that we're just dying to keep talking about.
Okay. So I was talking about how 2025 is a little bit up in there for me right now. Um, and it has brought some fear. The fear has to be that the Rapids are really good at pressing, and that works against teams that don't have a great back line, that don't have a back line or midfield that can get the ball quickly out to each other. You saw tonight, once Galaxy figured out the press and their triggers and where they were pressing from, they cooked the Rapids. They were passing the ball back and forth like it was nothing. And it was just insanely disappointing, and it brings some fear that if the Armas doesn't find a counter for those kind of teams, that kind of game style or that tactic, it's gonna be really easy to it's gonna be really easy for them to fall in a hole where other teams are they can become the old St. Louis, right? St. Louis of last year, where they were really fun one year and then the next they kind of drop back off to just being figured out and really hard to get to the ball and not scoring as much.
I think the floor for this Colorado Rapids team is higher than St. Louis's, and I think the off season is going to be a time where the front office and Chris take a look at, where are the weak points, where are the slow points if we're going to keep playing press, like where do we keep getting cooked on. I think some of those positions are very obvious. Maybe we talk about those in the off
Yeah.
season. But I think moves will be made to shore up some of those things. And I think the Rapids are intentional. I mean, how many times have we seen the Rapids bring in a new quality player right before the play? I can't remember ever seeing that happen.
Mhm.
They bring Reggie in. Reggie, to me, throughout all of these losses, has been the straight up dog on this team. Like, that dude is just, I mean, he is barking up everybody. And, uh, I think the club showing that they're going to wait, on and make a savvy move like bringing Reggie in because of his contract situation. They knew that they wanted him. They wouldn't be able to have him until next season unless something works out where they agree to call it off. And so, Porg is in there working with both Reggie and the club to make that happen. And we pull in somebody. So, and somebody who's talented, he's not a body to fill a space. Um,
He's not your Danny
and
Leva.
yeah, it's not a Danny Leva situation. Um, it's a quality player who we brought in. So that's at the end of the season. I think if they're pushing to bring in players, then I don't think that's going to stop in the off season. I don't know that it's going to be as big of an off season as it was last year because we replaced half the team with some pretty big names. But I do think that players will come in and as a point of reference to where we're getting cooked tonight.
Yeah,
So
but that's the thing. I'm not. This is not a front office thing. I think the front office will do what it has to do to keep the team competitive. I'm just afraid that other coaches have kind of figured out, hey, this team presses this way, and you've kind of seen it lately, right? You saw it against SKC, you saw it against Minnesota, and now you've seen it against LA Galaxy. Teams that are savvy enough to know how the Rapids want to play can counter it pretty quickly. And we've seen it now 3 games out of the last 4 where the other team, even if it's not a great team like SKC or Minnesota, it's cooking the Rapids. It's finding its open spots. And I don't think it's the quality of the player but I do think that it has to do a lot with how the pieces are sitting and how other teams have figured out how the Rapids finally want to play and they're finding those spots. They're able to pull people over and get things to the other side. I think that's my biggest fear. It's not as much the quality of the player.
yeah, but I mean, the Rapids didn't invent the press. It's not like everyone just went, "What are the Rapids doing?" and like, "Oh my gosh, we just figured it out." Like it's nothing new there. I think you really have a depth issue. Not bringing anybody in the window, for depth, and even and maybe this is on Chris. Playing the same lineup every game because it works is now coming back to bite you because it's guys are gassed. Bassett's out right now. That's a huge hit on this squad. um Hoffa was not great tonight. Has not been the goal scorer that he was before he got paid. Yappy is not that guy. He's 19. He's got plenty of years to become that guy.
Mhm.
Georgie is that guy. I do think Reggie is that guy. I think Ollie is that guy in the middle of the field. And I know you didn't like his game tonight, but I think Harris can be that guy too on the wing. Not his night tonight, but I think his portfolio from the season has been overwhelmingly better than tonight. So I think that it's not a matter of suddenly everyone waking up and going, "Oh, the Rapids are playing a press." Like it's the fact that the team just can't keep up anymore. Like they're gassed, and it's hard to play a press when you've played this many minutes. I mean, I'm not sure any team has a squad that's run as much as the Colorado Rapids this year when you take into account Leagues Cup and everything else.
Mm. Okay, so you say the Rapids didn't invent the press, and I understand where you're coming from, but it's not really that the Rapids invented the press. It's that throughout the season, I've noticed that Armas changes how he presses. He's had a few different formations and a few different ways he kind of pushes that forward. And it feels like teams have finally kind of caught on to all the little different maneuvers and triggers and things that activates that kind of stuff, which makes it easier for them to predict the next step, right? And you saw it immediately from the first half to the second half in this game too, when the Rapids in the first half just were suffocating LA. Like they didn't let LA do anything; they were just suffocating them. Then the second half, LA kind of figured something out, and the ball was just moving side to side a lot quicker, and it just broke the press up completely. And that's exactly what happened with Minnesota too. Rapids had the exact same thing going on where the press was working, and then all of a sudden Minnesota figured something out, and they just broke the press. And that's kind of the fear I'm having, that those adjustments are not coming quick enough from Armas. And if they can come in long term, right? We haven't seen it yet because Armas unfortunately hasn't had that chance to coach for multiple years and see what
Sure.
he actually does. But that's kind of the fear that I have the most with that. It's not like that teams actually, because you are right, the team is gassed and they are missing a key piece in Cole Bassett. But it's also, I think it comes down a lot to the way that these guys are standing, and that if it's become a little, the nuance of it has no longer helping the Rapids like it did at once, because the press was coming from Georgie and Rafa, and then it was shipped to Calvin and Rafa, and then Georgie would drop back. And I think all those little things that did make it really effective has kind of lost its effectiveness, at least.
Yeah. I think part of that again gets back to depth. The Rapids, Mitch, a lot of people like to go back to like when you guys were talking with Reggie last week on the show. You mentioned, is it difficult when Armis says, you're on the roster now, I'm looking for your replacement? Uh, Here's my problem with that statement. It sounds great and I love it, but when you don't have depth to actually have a replacement, how much accountability is that? Like when Rafa is not scoring any goals, how much does he really feel his seat getting hot? Like Yappy's not scoring goals. So it's like, who's the challenger, to really push these guys? So I'm not sure that it's an Armis thing as much as it is an offense thing and being able to finish. Because here's my point. So all of that being said, circling it around to the press on why I don't think it's a big deal that people have figured out the press is that if we were scoring goals with the Rapids press, we would have been up 3-0 at halftime. Then we can go back to what you're saying of balancing out and not having to press the full second half. So the press is ineffective when you don't have enough talent to put the ball in the net. And I'm not saying we don't have the talent. I'm just saying that on paper, the numbers aren't there. So it's saying that the talent is not there, right? So
Mhm.
I do think the Chris Armas press, it's not a matter of it being figured out as much as it is just not being executed because guys aren't putting the ball in the net. Now, some of that is on the different styles of press because, Chris was very upfront about running an inverted winger system.
Yeah.
And we've seen that where guys come in, they crash the middle. The problem is they're all there. And I feel like sometimes I'm watching my 9-year-old's daughter's soccer team where I'm yelling from the sidelines, spread out, spread out. And that's what we saw tonight is they weren't opening up that defense of LA to be able to move guys around. And so none of the center backs got pushed or pulled in or out of position by the Rapids. Everybody went right into the middle at the top of the penalty circle, and they just kind of like they had a little kick around, until Galaxy took it away. Um, Now it's cool that we got everybody up there, and that's the picture of like a good press, right?
Yeah.
But the press is only good when it's scoring goals. And so when we're not scoring goals, when Rafa gets paid and then he's not putting the ball in the net, or the wingers, aren't being effective, either inverted or sliding out to the wing, which like Lewis still likes to do. And Lewis had a nice cross tonight.
I thought Lewis actually was the
I
best
thought,
winger tonight.
yeah, he played really
Honestly, like
well.
I thought he was the best out there. Like,
Yeah, and so that's the thing, and it's like Cody's saying in the comments, what if that's what they're being told to do, and that falls down to the coaching? You're totally right. We're not there, so we don't know what that is. I think part of it is on coaching because clearly everybody was going in there, but I also think at a basic level, like everybody can't be there. So as a professional athlete, as a professional soccer player, you have to look around and say like, this isn't working. What can we do as players to adjust? Because the coach isn't there. It's not foosball, right? The
yeah,
coach isn't moving every player during the game.
yeah,
Like the players have to also be heads up, smart, intelligent players when they're on the field. And sometimes we're not seeing that on offense.
yeah. And I think Brandon makes a good point. It's a combination of both.
Sure.
Um, because I get it's hard for me to say that this offense is not effective when it's probably one of the highest scoring offenses the Rapids have ever had. Like it
Yeah.
truly is. Like I think the biggest issue it really comes down to how you're saying that the depth. But I also could start thinking the only real position that never got rotated in the forward position was the nine. Rafa never got that break because the wingers were
Yep.
being rotated constantly. Like we didn't even get the same starting lineup until like maybe week 11 or 12 for the
Yeah.
same reason that there was quite a bit of rotation in that winger spot. And I think part of that is maybe just the quality of wingers isn't good enough, right? And we've talked about this before
Sure.
that they do rotate it quite often because how many times did we see Omir Kelvin, Cabral Kelvin, then we had Johnny and Omir and a bunch of different combinations out there, and even Yappy was starting on the wing a lot of these times. It's just it might be the quality, right?
Sure.
When you're playing lower level teams and you can actually take advantage of it, you're gonna win those games, and you did
Totally
most of
agree.
the year. Minnesota and SKC, it's the only reason that I kind of start wondering if it has that to do with it. If there's really a little bit more to like the tactical side of it. Not really Galaxy. Galaxy's like they're better than you. We've said it at the beginning. I don't think they're much better, but they are better than you. And if that's why the tactics to me more mentally that I kind of look back, it's SKC and it comes back to Minnesota that two lesser teams were able to dominate you in that way. And it really did feel like it was a lot more of a hey, we're not in the right spots right now. Because I do think there's quite a bit of depth in this team, especially when you look at the wingbacks now. When you have Jackson Travis, who dude has blown up overnight, it feels like. You
Hmm.
have Keegan Rosenberry, a little bit older, but still very effective. You have Sam Vines, not the greatest year, but he did come in and have some really good plays today
Yep.
after a little bit of stint being out, and he will, in my opinion, he was kind of trending upward before the injury. And you also have Reggie Cannon, the new guy who everybody loves, scored his first home game. Incredible story for him. And then you have the midfield, which I think is the deepest part of this team, right? You go with Ollie, Cole, Ronan, Georgie, and then you bring in Jasper, who I think is still a really good player, and then you still have a little bit more guys below them, like Wayne Frederick. You have Daniel Chacon, who can play the 6/8. So I think the midfield and the wingbacks are your two deepest spots. But once you get to that forward position, I think there's quite a bit of depth, but not quality depth. I
Totally agree.
We talked about Calvin and how you think is going to be a piece going forward. I did too at the beginning of the year, and I think about midway through he's kind of dipped a little bit. I think his dip coincided right at the same time as Rafa's. It feels like once Calvin dipped, Rafa kind of dipped. But it's what we talked about right before Rafa was the Rafa we know now. It's all about how you create. Sorry, I kind of lost track of my. With about Calvin, Rafa can't be effective if he's not getting the ball in the right position. And a lot of the times, Georgie doesn't get in the ball in the right position. What Georgie does set up the wings to get Rafa the right position. And I think that's the hardest part where the wingers have really dipped since Cabral's exit because of injury. And if Rafa's just not having an otherworldly game like he did against FC Dallas, it's very hard for Rafa to be effective. And that's the really hard part. That I do think Rafa's good, but Rafa's also not Lionel Messi. Rafa's also not a top 5 European league kind of guy. He's not there, and you just can't rely on him to do everything. And it's bad because he does have to be better. He hasn't been as good as he should be, but it's also he's just not that level. And that's where my biggest fear is when it comes to the depth of the wings. And I think Jasper tonight was really good. And I think he should have gotten more minutes since the beginning of the season because I think right now he'd be in a way better spot. And the only reason Jasper's in there, remember, is because Cole's injured. If Cole's injured, yeah, one of your 4 starting midfielders is out. It's okay to bring in Jasper. I thought he played it really well those last 10 minutes and tried his hardest, but it is what it is. This team was already losing anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's the depth up front. there's no break for Hoffa, and excuse me. I don't know if it's because he's tired. I mean that dude has played almost every minute of every game all season.
Yep.
So maybe he's tired. It just seems like he's always one step off when a winger does set him up. Even tonight, like he was just one stride behind, being able to get that cross that came in right in front of the goal that he went sliding. A classic Rafa slide by as the ball goes by him.
Classic, baby.
We've seen so many times this season.
You know you were watching a Rapids game when Rafa missed it just by a hair.
When you see Rafa sliding on his butt and the ball going right by him. So it could be that. Again, it's been a long season. It's I don't know. It's not all doomed for me. And maybe it's because I kind of knew we were going to lose this game.
Yeah.
I was much, much more angry about Kansas City and Minnesota. Like Minnesota the other night, I'm still a little furious about that game, just being embarrassed like that. But, Galaxy is good, man. They're again, we played 45 minutes of good soccer, and we played 45 minutes of the other team being a lot better. And it's, we got outplayed and outcoached in the second half. And that's all there is to it. We finish goals, we figure out whatever it is up front that can actually put the ball in the net, then we're good to go. Yeah. So, but let's talk to a special guest.
Wait, not yet.
All right.
We will
Screw
right
that
after we'll bring in our guy Mitch from the stadium after we give a quick shout out to DNVR events. We want to shout ourselves out, man. We have the best event in town. The DNVR tailgate, it's gonna be popping off the DNVR Broncos tailgate is gonna be popping off this weekend with Raiders in town. It's hate week. It's time to get nasty. It's time to hate.
Raiders.
It's gonna be you love to hate them, especially right now that they're they're the Real Salt Lake of the Rapids, right? They're a dumpster fire right now, and you can rejoice in it. It's gonna be incredible.
All of their players are injured. I mean, it is perfect timing to get to a DMVR Broncos tailgate.
And those tailgates are the greatest, man. Like you can all you can drink, all you can eat, hang out with a bunch of fans. You're overlooking the stadium. It's a great time. It truly is. You've been to those tailgates, right, Duane? How fun are they?
They're awesome. Outside of C38 tailgates, it's the best non-Rapids tailgate anywhere. Primo Hoagies, Breck Brew, Breck Distillery, games. Man, I mean, the location is dope. Like you can look down and see all the other tailgates. It's easy to get in and out of.
It's and
Um,
it's an incredible
it's sweet.
spot. And
Yeah,
then you can also
it's
take the
awesome.
bus from the bar so you don't have to drive to the game. Then they take you back to the bar so you don't have to worry about all that. It's a great time all the way around. We also have the Buffs, the NVR taking over Folsom when Colorado takes on Cincy on October 26th. Takeover package includes the NVR tailgate entry, parking at the tailgate, game ticket to the Buffs and Bearcats, immaculate vibes. You can get those tickets too at thednvr.com/events. It's a great time. We also have our Avalanche takeovers are coming up. You can buy a season pass. You can buy a single game pass. You get to hang out with maybe some ex hockey players. We got our boy Big E, Eric Lacroix, hooking us up with some cool people. It's gonna be a good time. Remember, guys, go check out all the DNVR events at the DNVR thednvr.com/events. Come hang out with us. It's all about fun. It's a great time. All right, now we can bring in our special guest.
Should we bring this dude in?
We
Reporting
got
live from Dick's Sporting
Merchel.
Goods Park.
Let's
No, no,
go.
let's go. What are you talking about?
This
It's
is
let's
cool. We've never
blow.
done this before.
It's
This is
let's blow.
cool. Look at this.
Let's blow.
You're right. The game, not much to talk about. But I mean, come on. This is pretty cool. I like doing this. This is kind of tight. So yeah, we just got out of the press conference. Salty coach. We'll get into that second.
He should be salty with
Ooh.
himself.
That's what we call a tease in the business there.
Ooh.
We Connor Ronan. Shout out Connor Ronan. I mean, did you guys do flowers already?
No,
Not yet,
we'll
but
do.
you
We'll,
can't
we're
have
waiting
them.
for you. Yeah.
Well, that sounds.
You joined last. You can't.
I
give
get
him
to
a-
go
yeah.
first.
I get
yeah.
to go first. It's
No,
my
you
turn.
No,
don't.
it was
No,
Dwayne's
you
turn.
don't. It's my turn. Eat it.
All right, whatever. I'm not going to tell you what happened at the press conference then. How about that? No, I'm just kidding.
All
Connor
right, thanks for
Ronan.
being here, Mitch.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up.
Connor Ronan. I think he said when the ball when we asked him about the goal, right? He goes, when it gets to my left foot, sometimes I don't know where it's going to go, but it went in. He seemed pretty happy about that, and I was actually kind of surprised with the way Ronan was talking after this game, because he was talking about how this team is so good in film study, and this team is so good at analyzing where they go wrong and making adjustments. I mean, going into tonight, 7-1-2 after a loss. They hadn't lost after losing on the road and coming home. They were 4-0-2. So this is the first time that has happened. So they've been able to really analyze what goes wrong when something goes wrong, right, so far. And so, he's like, obviously we don't want to be on a streak of losing 3 and 4, but it is good for a team to be in a place where they can learn from mistakes at this point in the season, and they can adjust on the fly and be ready when it comes down to the clutch time. So I thought that was an interesting point. I don't know if I agree per se, right? But
Yeah,
I do
not
think it
with
was.
2 games left. It's not the time to be learning.
Well, no, but I mean, you're always learning, right? Like you're like when you go into a playoff and you have to, make a game plan in a week for an opponent. Like you're constantly learning and adjusting. So
It's cool if you learn and then you adjust, but today they just learned and didn't
well,
adjust.
so I mean, okay, but again, they're now what 7-2-3, 7-2-2 after losses, right? So overall this year they have responded to adversity pretty well. As for coach's message after the game, he was he was trying very hard to be positive, right? He came down and said, we're excited for Saturday. We played a very good team tonight. sometimes you lose to very good teams, right? Like this, I think his message is this is not necessarily a loss you can get too worked up about because you're playing one of the 3 best teams in the league here tonight, right? And I'm sure the message was different in the locker room, right? I'm sure they were pretty upset about going up 1-0 at the break, responding by giving up 2 in the lead, but I can tell he's frustrated because he got into it when asked about the stretch of 3 and 4, 3 losses in 4 games. And, he was pretty upset about about, I guess, the approach of that, right? He doesn't want to, this is the first time Armas has kind of lost the positivity, like, he no longer gets the benefit of the doubt, right? Now you have expectations. You were just 3rd in the West. Now you're 6th in the West. How are you going to deal with this, right? Whereas before it was like, man, we were so bad last year, right? Rapids are doing great. Like, this is great. This is fun. Not anymore. Not when it's down to it and decision days around the corner and you are now looking up at more teams than below in the playoff race, right? So, I do think they're ready for Saturday. He said Zach Steffen, good to go Saturday, no problem. Might have a big black eye going. But they're not worried about a concussion or a broken orbital bone or anything like that. And they were encouraged about Sam Vines coming back. I don't know if you guys got into that either. But overall the injury situation seems to be getting better going into Saturday's game against Seattle.
What was coach's reaction to the asking of the question for that? I really want to know if, did he get really angry? Was it kind of angry? Was it just kind of like?
I would say it wasn't angry. It was combative. Right? Chris is such a positivity guy. He's such an energy guy, such a culture guy, such a build guys up when it comes to the way he interacts with players on the field, and in practice and in the locker room. And when you sit down after a loss, I don't know what else you're going to expect besides he doesn't have lost 3 or 4, right? Including 2 you shouldn't have. I don't think anyone is going to look at the season and be like, man, they lost to Galaxy twice. Like, a lot of teams lost to Galaxy twice. Galaxy's a very good team, right? But when you couple that with blowing the lead against Galaxy and you just lost to 2 bad teams, I don't think he was ready for the Rapids media to really, kind of give it to him on
that. Did anybody ask about the defensive breakdowns, Mitch? And if so, what was Chris saying? What were his thoughts about that?
Part of that question was the SKC loss looked similar to this, and just the way the goals were given up, right? They'd given up 10 goals in those 3 losses, scored just 2. And I think that was what, I don't want to put anyone on blast with this, but, he was, he was very happy with his team's effort tonight, in terms of how they attacked the game plan. The way that they went after the game. And, credit to them, they played a very good first half, right? They held Galaxy to 0.1 XG. They took the lead before half. They had a lot of chances. They were good on set pieces, although they didn't finish on set pieces. But Georgie had that free kick that almost went in. They had that one to Lawless that dropped right at his feet and didn't score. So I think process-wise, he's very happy with how the team performed. Now, he's not going to be happy with the scoreline. He's not going to be happy with giving up, 2 goals in 10 minutes. But overall, I think mindset-wise, mentality-wise, the way they approach the game and chase the game, praising guys like Connor Ronan, who Ronan's effort tonight beyond the goal was unreal. I mean, he was blocking shots. He was running all over the place. He was the last line of defense. He, and so I understand where coach is coming from in that point. Now, I'm sure you guys disagree. I can just kind of tell by the look on Yahya's face. He disagrees. But I get it from the stance that you're going to be facing teams like this, right? And if you go in scared into a game like this, if you go in timid, if you go in unsure of your game plan or not trusting each other in your game plan, it could be 3-1 at halftime and you're down, right? Instead, they're up 1-0, held a great team to very low XG, held them to few chances. And so I understand where he's coming from. Do I agree? Probably not. I would be a little more concerned on 3 losses in 4 games. He really highlighted they have clinched the playoffs. They have 50 points. They have doubled last season and then some in basically every way, right? So I think he was really trying to provide that 10,000-foot view because it's so easy for us, right? With 1 or 2 games a week, it's so easy to make one game so decisive in the narrative of a team, right? Like it's so easy to be like, oh man, this game Rapids are terrible, right? But what if they come out and beat Seattle on Saturday, beat Austin on decision day? Then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Then you'll
fine.
be
Can't
in 7th place after
right.
everything.
Well, I mean, I guess it's possible, right? There's a few games in hand to be played out. I will say the scoreboard tonight wasn't terrible to the Rapids. Obviously, Houston winning sucks, but Minnesota and Salt Lake splitting. I don't know if Austin held on at Portland. Haven't checked since. But I think 2 wins, you got to be happy. But it kind of has to be 2 wins, right? You really don't have any choice if you want to have decent seeding going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
Austin did win, by the way, Mitch.
See, that's pretty big. That's good. And like Yahir said in the office today, I don't know if you mentioned it on here, but or no, you said at the end of last when we were talking about predictions for this game. Teams are going to lose, right? The Rapids are not the only team that's going to lose to a team that's better than them. Like it's going to happen. And I know it's really easy to make it this big kind of nervous thing, but I do think there is something to the fact that, hey, we went out, we had a game plan. It was relatively effective, but that's a great team. And you lost to a great team, and you kind of just tip your cap and get ready for Seattle.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this whole coach thing because I personally think coach lost the game tonight, and I don't put a lot of games on Armas. I really don't. I think
that's interesting.
I truly believe this is the first one that I can really put on Armas, in my opinion, and say I think he didn't come out in the second half like he should have.
I'm curious who what you would have done different. Not that I disagree with you. I just, we're sitting up there on press row and you're kind of looking down at who's warming up and you're like, no, you got Sam on a sort of minutes restriction, Cole not being in there. Right. So you're kind of limited anyways with the injury situation. Maybe you see KSB tonight instead of, maybe you pull Ollie off for KSB to get a little more attack. I'm not really sure what the move was for him.
To me, the move is not really a move. It's more, LA Galaxy's going to come out and give you all in those first 10, 15 minutes, and the team just didn't look prepared for that. They thought it was going to be the exact same copy and paste story of the first half, and I think that kind of falls on coaching a little bit for not lighting that fire on them in the first half, in the halftime, and I think that's where I kind of put it on coach a little bit more than anything else because it's usually pretty okay. And it's the first game in my opinion all year that I can truly say I think this one's on coach.
Yeah. I think if you get that 1 goal lead, you stop chasing, right? Like you really shell up, bring on another defender, take off a wing and bring on Jasper, something to just sort of, all right, if we get the counter, right, we have Rafa, a wing, and Georgie, but everyone else, you are not playing up. You are not pushing this game. And the second they get that second goal, now you have to stretch, right? Now you are pulled out of your spot. And, because you have to play up so high, all of a sudden on offense, now Ronan isn't that last line of defense like he is normally because that press is so high. Now Ronan's pulled up higher. And then those avenues to the goal are just wide open. And credit to Zach. He stopped a few of those, breaks tonight. Could have been 5-1, 6-1 on some of those breaks. Galaxy, God. If I was a Galaxy supporter, yes, you won 3-1. But the easiest chances of the night were probably some of their worst plays. Granted, I do think, the midfield was able to get back and Zach made a good play on some things. But they probably left some goals. They probably left more on the field than the Rapids did.
Yeah, I definitely, and part of my frustration is also that and we talked about it, how gassed Galaxy was at the very beginning of the game. It feels like they started this game with half a tank, and they gave out immediately, and it feels like the Rapids weren't able to take advantage of that, especially in the second half, and I think that's kind of my frustration as well. But are you guys ready to give some flowers out, or do you got any more quotes?
Time. No, not really. I mean, we only got 3 questions in the coach because it was a question and then a follow-up and then a back and forth for and all of us are just like, can I ask a question, please? Please, can I ask a question? Oh no, I guess we got 4 in. He did ask, everyone was very happy for Zach. And just for making the national team call up and again, this night you're gonna see 3-1 against Galaxy at home and the Zach haters are gonna be like, and this was actually Connor Ronan saying this, the Zach haters are gonna be like, 3-1. How can that guy make the national team? All you have to do is watch the game to see that he was nailed, right? Like he came up big. So, there was that. And then also just the team rallying around Kevin Cabral, who lost his father recently. Him and Remy went back to France. They're both back with their teams now. He was up in the suite. That's why they ran over and held up the shirt. And the shirt was also with them in the starting 11 photo tonight. But yeah, he lost his father like 2-ish weeks ago. He's back, and Ronan really just highlighted the team's togetherness. And this is not news to anyone that follows this team, right? But very cohesive group. They were all very supportive of him, and really wanted him to feel like, even though you've been out, you've been away, and then you just went to France, we're still there for you, and it's all pretty tight still in that locker room.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. With that note, we're getting in flowers from the fellas.
Let's go.
First person up today, it is Duane Brown. Go ahead,
Duane's
man.
picking
Give us
Armas,
flowers.
I'm telling you. All right. Prop comic over here. Check out Carrot Top in the house tonight. Jeez.
It's Connor Ronan. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That guy was incredible tonight. I mean, that's what we've been seeing the whole second half of the season. Once he got healthy, and as he continues, has been getting more and more healthy after the injury. That dude has been playing everywhere. If something's going down on the field, Ronan is in there somewhere. There is a Ronan running around saving the day. And how cool is it that in addition to doing that, like he's been doing every game, now he gets one of those patented Connor Ronan way outside the box bangers. Man, it was so awesome to see him on TV, just like cheesing it up. Like that dude was so happy, like his whole face.
That was the most emotion I've seen out of him.
I know.
Ever.
It was
That's
awesome.
the most emotion I've ever seen out of a redhead.
Wow.
Really?
Boo.
Yeah, it's Connor Ronan
so
for me.
That was
100%.
Ronan's first goal from the run and play as a Rapid. Last year, he converted a penalty for his only goal. Hadn't had one all year. He's had plenty of shots like that one where you're like, oh, he almost had it, right? And so it was really cool to see that tonight. Really good.
That was definitely the Keegan banger that we expected, but it came from Ronan.
Those two feel very similar in their offensive, what you want to see from them in terms of long range goals and dime assists, right?
That was Ronan Rocket.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Mitch, you're next.
Me?
Who do you have flowers to? Hey, I'm in charge right now, so I can just throw it to anybody I want.
You can do whatever you want. It's your show tonight, baby. I was kind of hoping you would go and make my decision making easier. But I got to give flowers to our guy, Big Zach Steffen, man. I mean, come on. Sure, the scoreline's not going to do him any favors in the narrative of the haters, but again, he kept this team way closer than it should have been. It's not his fault they didn't pick him up on the other side. And he's back in the men's national team fold. Shout out to Pochettino for maybe he gets some flowers too. Maybe this is double flowers, right? Poch for recognizing what he can do. And today, and sorry if this is a roundabout way to get to Zach being included, but Poch did mention that he wants to play more of a 4-2-3-1 versus the classic American 4-3-3. Obviously, he is part of a very attack-heavy, press-heavy 4-2-3-1 here in Colorado. So, I think stylistically it's the fit for what Poch is looking to do. And again, the stats don't do him any favors, right? But he spent almost a year out of soccer, recovering knee surgery, moves continents, moves leagues, new system, right? New everything. And that takes time. And look, you say, oh, he had a great Leagues Cup. And then the numbers, again, don't look great after Leagues Cup. But this defense just keeps leaving him out to dry time after time. But we know when it's winning time, right? When it's make a play time, when it's time to figure out who's going to make a winning play, we know that Zach is going to make a winning play, right? And so going into the playoffs, you're a little more confident just having Zach on the roster. And, I think tonight doesn't change anybody's belief in that.
For sure. Mitch, I know that it's late. It's almost 11. I'm going to let you give us one more flowers.
Sure.
and then I'll let you go so you can start heading home because it's a long
No,
way
I'm
home.
fine. I'm having a blast. I never get to hang out late like this at the stadium.
Oh,
This
awesome,
is
man!
fun.
I just
Look
wanted
at
to make
this.
sure you were comfortable because
Isn't
that's an
it
incredible
beautiful?
view.
Look at this. Look at this.
That's an
Going
incredible view.
around. I might go sit down on some of those couches down in Nobo and just kind
Oh,
of
those
chill.
are actually good.
No, okay, I will give you my flowers, my second flowers. Let's go. No, you go. I'll go. I'm fine hanging. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm giving flowers to. See, this is hard for me. I've been thinking this whole time, and I truly don't think anybody deserves anything from tonight.
Interesting.
think-
Okay, I do have one then. Then I will go.
Yeah, like I'll let you go and I'll keep thinking
Okay.
about it. I'm being a hater
Yeah.
right now. I'm just really
Right.
annoyed at this loss because I
Sure.
hate Galaxy. I had a tough day and I had to watch this stupid team lose to that stupider team, and it makes me mad.
I do hate Galaxy, but man, Puig is pretty fun, man. That guy's dope.
No,
hate it.
screw that
I
guy.
hate it.
He's a Barcelona Academy dude, and I hate him with all my passion.
All right, fine, fair enough. Okay, I will give flowers to Sam Vine. I think, Sam Vines is not going to be any major defensive answer, right? The defense is not fixed with him coming back. But I do think the offense can be helped a lot with him coming back, right? There's beyond just chemistry. There's no real left-footed presence anywhere on this roster without him. Now, you're going to have to add Connor Ronan to the left-footed presence after that goal tonight. But, he does provide crossing. He provides good, overlapping play with whoever's on that left wing. And just getting him back, seeing him healthy, seeing him comfortable on the ball, sending that ball into the box, I think was at least encouraging going into this final stretch. Now, does it solve anything? I don't know. I do think the offense will benefit from having him back. But that's all. That's about all I got on that. I don't know.
All right, Duane, any last flowers? And I'll give my last one after you.
No, I don't. It's not to say that some guys didn't play good, but like we lost 3-1, dude. Like
It's hard. It's really
tough
hard.
to give flowers. It is.
And
Yeah,
you
it's-
guys kind of give to the best ones already, and I'm like, I don't think you deserve to get a flower for being mediocre.
I think Georgie was pretty good tonight too. I really do.
But he gets a flower, right? Like
those
he doesn't
free
get the
kicks,
flower.
man. That ball to Wallace, where Wallace decided whether or not to use his head or his feet, and just couldn't put a shot. Like that deserved a goal, right? That ball deserved a goal. His free kick almost going. Half the stadium thought it was a goal, right? Because
I thought it was a goal.
the announcer thought it was a goal.
I mean, it was beautiful. I don't think you can knock Georgie at all, right? Part of that is finishing, but I do think he deserves at least a flower.
Okay. I'll give the final flowers of the night then.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be for everybody in the chat. It's a Wednesday.
Let's
You guys
go.
endured one of the worst games of the season so far. Congrats. You played yourself. But thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys very much. And I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the stadium. The atmosphere looked bonkers. It looked really fun. It looked great. The stadium was mostly full. Not full, but like for being a Wednesday night game, I thought the stadium looked great. It looked like everybody was into the game. Everybody here in the chat's so passionate about it. So I think Rapids fans altogether deserve flowers tonight for being so loyal to this team and showing out and having a great time at the game.
I can't believe you left. I can't believe both of you left these flowers off. But I have
Dogs.
225 flowers to give out to the 225 Burgundy pups that made it out to this game. It was awesome. Dude, there were dogs and then 225 isn't a ton in a big stadium like this, but they were all over the I got to pet so many dogs tonight. It ruled so hard. It's really hard for me to
Can I pet your dog?
Can I pet your dog? Can I pet that dog?
Can I pet your dog?
It ruled so hard. We need more bark in the park stuff. Yeah, that's just flowers to the pups for sure.
Yeah,
I would have watched zero soccer if I was there.
I was very it was like every
I
time
just
they
would have
popped
been
up
with
right there on the
dogs.
screen, I was like, oh my god, dogs, guys, dogs.
Yeah. The Rapids should do a lot more of these kind of events, something where people
It was
can
great.
take pets and stuff like that. But hey, shout out for them for even making it that one time, right? Like
Totally.
everything looked great, man. It really did. The stadium looked mostly full. It looked a lot fuller than if the game was in Carson tonight, really, right?
Yeah.
If this game was played in LA, this stadium would not even have been half as full in LA. and that's just the truth. Rapids fans showed out. They had a good time. People are still chatting it up an hour in. So, Rapids fans, you guys deserve all the credit. Rapids front office, you deserve the credit for putting on a great night. So,
Oh yeah,
that's all out. Shout out to you guys.
Should we throw out some quick Seattle predictions really quick?
Oh yeah, we can throw out some quick Seattle predictions. 30 seconds. Go real quick, Mitch.
This team is so good after losses. I know this tonight, same as after tonight, is such a bad thing, but it's true. This team has been very good about recovering. I think they make it happen. I think it's a tight win. I think it's a 2-1 win. Less speed to worry about, less of a counter threat. Now, obviously, Jordan Morris is a counter threat, but just man for man, I think they have a better chance defending this team on the counter where they've been abused for the last few weeks. So I think they squeak out a win, an important win, and send Rapids home from the last regular season game happy.
Awesome. Duane?
I think it's the opposite. I think it's 2-1 loss. And again, I think Minnesota and Kansas City is just going to continue to hurt me with losses that were acceptable losses to Galaxy and Seattle.
Okay. I'm going to go 3-1. Jordan Morris brace and Raul
Oh
Diaz
my God.
bicycle kick. Why break tradition? Why break it now? We're already here. 3 of the last 4 games you allowed 3 goals. It's fine. Keep it going. Do something fun. Do something nobody has ever done. Lose
Really
by
go for
more.
it. Yeah, really
go
go
all
for it.
in. No, my real prediction's probably a 1-0 loss. I think the Rapids are struggling to score. I think the defense is bad, but I think they'll be good enough to just hold them to a goal. And
bro, kiss the records goodbye. Kiss the records goodbye. Those guys, I mean, barring a crazy hop-up appearance against Seattle, and Georgie finding maybe a couple corners, right? I think the assist and goal records are safe.
Yep.
100%. All right, guys. You guys know who we are. We're the DNVR Rapids Postgame podcast, having a great time. That's Duane Brown, Yahya, and Mitch from the stadium with a beautiful view. He's glistening right now, man. He's shining. He's like an angel sent from above because there was no angels tonight on the field. Follow us on DNVR_Rapids. It's always a great time there. We post the best content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're really, really close to 100K this time for real. So please hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. And give us a 5-star review wherever you hear our podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, Apple, Google Podcast, everywhere. It would really appreciate it. Either of you guys have anything to plug?
No, follow us.
Mitch, what's your Twitter account?
Mitch__Carroll.
Duane, say it out loud for the people.
At the Duane Brown. And if you are not following me already and didn't see the update, shirts start shipping tomorrow. That means if you have not ordered a shirt yet, if you order one, you don't have to wait for it to be printed. It's already printed, just waiting to be sent to your house.
And I'm at Yahir_Vazquez_ on Twitter. If you want to follow all 3 of us on Twitter, I'm the least active. These 2 guys are a lot funner than I am. But we're going to end tonight's show how we always end it. And even in a loss, we're still up the pit.
We all silly like the mayor.